Lesotho, Africa, the mountain kingdom. Amidst the stunning scenery, riders come from around the world looking to become a part of the history that makes this race unique in the hard enduro calendar. This is the 45th edition of the Roof of Africa, the mother of hard enduro. In the 1800s, King Motswetswe led his feared warriors into the mountains, away from the advancing armies, hoping to establish a home for his people. Almost exactly 100 years later, in 1967, the Roof of Africa was born, as riders looked to test their skills in the mountains that kept the Basotho people safe. In the 44 years of the Roof of Africa, the event has built legends in the sport, such as Alfie Cox. He dominated this race for over a decade, picking up 9 wins from 1988 to 2001.
The Roof of Africa will never change as being one of the toughest races in South Africa, and I think it's getting a name around the world as well. As we can see, all the overseas competitors that come.
This year's race has the makings of a classic. 2012 has belonged to Graham Jarvis. He's won all but one of this year's hard enduro races. He's also the defending Roof of Africa champion after he won his first race in Lesotho last year.
I adapted quite well last year, and maybe I was a bit lucky as well. But yeah, going to use that experience from last year and hopefully do the job again this year.
But Jarvis has to get around a man who's one of the most successful riders in the tournament's history. Chris Birch has won 3 back-to-back editions in Lesotho and was the man to beat until he was overhauled by Jarvis last time out. A win for Birch here would make him only the second man ever to win 4 Roof of Africa titles.
Graham's had an incredible series of results all year long. He's really dominated, but I think he's beatable.
This year's race will span 3 days. With 2 full days of racing covering around 400 kilometres, only the strongest will finish the whole event. But first, Birch and Jarvis and a host of other top riders will have to tackle the traditional start to the Roof of Africa, the Around the Houses race, an exhibition event which takes place on the streets of the capital Maseru before a time trial later in the day. But the 2 favourites for the Roof title aren't amongst the leading riders in the showcase event. Instead, it was the South Africans who dominated. The 3-lap race was taken by Darrell Curtis, closely followed by fellow countryman Lawrence Mahoney. And Rian van Niekerk completed a 1-2-3 for South Africa and KTM. A strong start for Africa in this year's Roof. Birch and Jarvis finished well down the field, saving energy for the time trial later today. With the Round the Houses races done, the riders move on to the opening time trial to see who will start in the lead on day 2. The riders go through historic Thaba Basiu, the ancient stronghold of King Motswetswe. Built as an impenetrable fortress, the stronghold was never taken by any invading army, and the King's tomb is there to this day. Such was the importance of the plateau, 1,800 metres above sea level. Now the riders have to get through it as quickly as they can to gain a crucial advantage for the second day. Looking to build on their strong showing in Around the Houses race, the South Africans look to head the field again in the time trial and establish a lead for the second day. They didn't disappoint. Yet again, a South African finished on top. But this time it was Mark Torlaga. He was 4th in last year's event and finished just a second clear of nearest rival, another South African, Wade Young, one of the youngest competitors racing at 16 and his first Roof of Africa. And there was to be a repeat of the morning race as Kenny Gilbert locked out the top 3 for South Africa. Defending champion Graham Jarvis had a difficult day. He got lost several times and finished 10th. Chris Birch is also lurking amongst the leaders. He's 4th. So, going into the second day, favourites and defending champion Graham Jarvis has ground to make up. He's 9 minutes off the pace. Mark Torlaga and the other South African riders are the men setting the early pace. But with the top 10 riders only 9 minutes apart, it promises to be a tight affair. Join us on day 2 for the first full day of racing of the Roof of Africa as the riders tackle 245 kilometres of harsh mountain terrain in the mother of hard enduro.